I mean, when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, they have improved their center depth quite a bit, in my opinion. Maybe that's kind of by mistake with Oliver Kapanen. We didn't really think that he was going to be this good this year. Philip Deneau was a very good move, and they have Nick Suzuki. I wanted to talk about relating to Nick Suzuki in this video, and also trade rumors that relate back to the Canadiens and Elias Pettersson. But welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you could make sure to hit that subscribe button, it'd be so greatly appreciated. And thank you so much to those that are already supporting me as well. It is very humbling. Because when it comes back to the Montreal Canadiens center depth, they're actually not really in that bad condition. It would be really worse if they didn't have a number one center. Like, even if you don't think they have a solidified number two center, which is kind of debatable, I suppose, you could have a bunch of guys in there that you could say are producing like second line centers. But if you don't think that they have a second line center, it's better than not having a first line center, and especially a possible Selke candidate in your first line. Do you think that he deserves to be in the Selke conversation? I do. His two-way game is fantastic, and this is what you want more than anything. You want players that can, yes, add offense, but people think offense is everything. Not so fast. You need guys that can play defense, and especially centers. Center is almost like the defensive forward position. You need to become back and forth, plus the puck is going to be on your stick a lot as a centerman. And here we have a really interesting quote. In addition to earning his spot with Team Canada ahead of the upcoming Olympic Games, the player who is on pace for a 90-plus point season is finally being recognized across the NHL. The quote continues, "A strong indication of that comes from a poll conducted by ESPN, which placed him at the top of the finalists for the Selke Trophy," close quote. And wouldn't that be amazing? And he's finished ahead of players like Anthony Cirelli and Anze Kopitar, and these are players that are elite defensive players. Like, it's so interesting. When we talk about defensive forwards, there are a lot of players that will say it's a will, not a skill in terms of defensive play, and I think that might be true, but I think that there are so many players that are just so good defensively that those players have a certain skill above everybody else. We talk about the Patrice Bergerons, you know what I mean? You talk about these elite defensive forwards. Ryan O'Reilly is another one that's, God, he's just so good defensively, and he adds points as well. And Nick Suzuki, he's within the realm of those players. Now, I'm not saying he's an elite superstar like Patrice Bergeron defensively quite yet, but he's getting there. And honestly, you could honestly say right now he's almost better offensively. And this is a very interesting quote from one of the voters, and here we go. Nick Suzuki, that's the list. One voter declared, "Big fan of his two-way game this season, shows growth and likely earned him an Olympic nod," another voter surmised. "He has taken a step forward and has probably earned his Olympic selection," suggested another voter, close quote. So it is good to see Suzuki getting his flowers, because I'm sorry, he just deserves it. And I think that sometimes we hem and haw about, you know, the Canadiens needing more depth at center, which I still think is kind of true depending on how Hage develops. But honestly, we have to just be thankful that we have Nick Suzuki on the Montreal Canadiens, don't we? Shifting gears, I did want to talk about trade rumors and Elias Pettersson and what it might cost to acquire this player for the Canadiens. And here's the thing. The best thing about the Montreal Canadiens right now is they literally have the assets to acquire almost any player. Like, this is just a simple fact. I mean, when you have guys like Zborowski and Hage, I'm not saying they should trade Zborowski or Hage, and they have a lot of draft selections, you have a lot of options with that, with those assets. And here we have a very interesting quote that relates back to the Canadiens from a little while ago. Darren Dreger, "The Canucks are listening. Will listen to interest in Elias Pettersson, despite believing that if he gets a change of scenery, a new start somewhere else, he's going to thrive," close quote. And this is something I agree with. And I've drawn this back to the Montreal Canadiens for one reason. If he plays with the Montreal Canadiens, you really think he's going to be a 60-point player for the Montreal Canadiens? Get real. And I'm like, when you play on a team that's struggling, it just is very difficult for a player to score. And the same thing with Vancouver Canucks and Zeev Buium, who has struggled a little bit. It's like, yeah, but he kind of plays on a difficult team, and Vancouver is certainly heading into a ground-up rebuild. You have to give players breaks with what they're producing right now, even though I will still bury Elias Pettersson a bit, that he needs to produce more as a guy that's getting paid $11 million. Now we have what exactly the Vancouver Canucks are going to ask from the Canadiens or any other team. David Pagnotta regarding Elias Pettersson, I would expect 3 quality pieces here coming back. A first-round pick, a top 2 center, and then another big asset. That's kind of what you're probably looking at. It's going to be a hefty price, close quote. So when we have a first-round selection, that's easy to give the Canucks. You can easily give them that. They wanted a top 2 center. That's where it becomes more complex. Would they be willing to take somebody like a Kapanen back? I know Kapanen's had a great season, but I'm sorry, Elias Pettersson would be an upgrade on him at least right now. And then another big asset. The Canadiens have done such a good job drafting, and this is why drafting is important. People don't understand how good the Canadiens have been drafting and why it's important. I'll tell you why. People will say, "Oh, they already have enough skill players. Oh, they already have enough skill players." Even if that player doesn't play for your team, let's say Zurofsky. Let's say they use Zurofsky as a trade asset. I'm not saying they should, but let's say they do. They now have an asset that's a maxed out asset for other teams, so you can get more for the player, right? So it's just an increased asset rather than just saying, "Oh, we're just gonna draft a third liner in the second round that isn't going to turn out to be anything." Essentially, my philosophy in the draft, and this is why I've been very impressed with the Montreal Canadiens, is in the first 1, 2, even 3 rounds of any NHL draft, I want my franchise to swing for the fences, okay? I don't care, because it doesn't matter. A lot of these players might not work out anyway. You might as well just grab your lottery tickets and swing for the fences and just be able to add players that are, elite, possibly elite players. I mean, there's tons of players in the second, third, and fourth round that teams get, well, honestly, really lucky with, and Alexander Zurofsky is one of them. But again, I'm just pointing to Alexander Zurofsky in general. It would be possible that they could move somebody like, I don't know, Michael Hage or something like that. I'm not necessarily sure if they should. It just, man, I just kind of think that if you add Elias Pettersson to the Montreal Canadiens, they have the core of a Stanley Cup contending team, okay? They have Nick Suzuki, Pettersson, Caulfield. They have so many. I mean, Demidov, who is just, and can you imagine Demidov getting better and better and better, right? They have a core. They have a fast blue line that can score, an offensive blue line. They probably need to touch up some more two-way defensemen, possibly sprinkle some more defensive forwards would be good. I think that they should upgrade their goaltending, in my opinion. But in terms of the guts of a Stanley Cup contending team, they would have it if they acquire Elias Pettersson, if, of course, they're able to get an elite goalie. That's one thing I kind of think they do need, but again, maybe Jacob Fowler will be able to develop into that. Who knows? Anyways, guys, I just wanted to talk about all of that. If you could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.